years, and many times you never know what you're going to get. One time I went to the lecture and only one person there. And because they scheduled the lecture on a location and they didn't tell this person, they changed it. So I didn't go to the other location. I gave the lecture to that person because they didn't let me know they changed location either. But we had a good time. We sat down and we talked for an hour and a half. And it turned out that that person had cancer, didn't know it. And she was 26. And the soreness on her nipples was not from the mastitis of the baby breastfeeding. It turned out to be cancer of the breast. So it was worth it to drive and give a lecture to one person to save a life. So you learn through life, the number doesn't count, the quality will count. But the funniest of all was San Antonio in Texas. And I came in and I saw two auditorium like this, but one this, two sides. And then when I'm lecturing in Spanish, I would start speaking Spanish, and I started speaking Spanish, and then this side here would advertise to them the lecture is in English. This side here would advertise the lecture in Spanish. You see the stress you can get? So you have to come with the answer right away. So I said, okay, I'm going to speak to those people for 5 minutes, and then translate it to you for 5 minutes, and I will film the joke. You only laugh, you cannot laugh. And then when I give you the joke, you don't laugh, because I'm sure you speak Spanish or you speak English, but everybody insisted that must be the language for themselves. You follow me? And I really don't care, because as far as I know, this is a big country, and there are people who speak only Polish, there are people who speak only Italian, there's people only, and then as me, as a doctor, I want to reach to that person. I'm not fanatic about, you don't speak English or stuff like that. What happened if somebody come from India or Egypt or something, and nobody's around them for 30 years, what are you going to do? Tell them to speak a language they never used to? You follow me? So we have two extra people right now, so I'm glad. We're looking for people. I have some people with signs. Did you see the sign on the highway?
I'm going to go grab some in for you.
Okay. Okay. Actually, the lecture about weight is really more important lecture than many of the lectures we have given before. Because if everybody who have extra weight understand the physiology and the mechanism why that it happened, they will never have any guilt feeling whatsoever about their weight, and they also will work to lose it. So today we're going to get to the root of weight gain. Why does it happen? And then if we know what happens, then what we do about it. You follow me? But the problem is, I was preparing when I was riding my car, so I wanted to be sure that I follow my own recipe here. If we look at the weight, how did we gain weight? It's a normal process to gain weight. Because if you take a child like this age, just been born, he have to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. That process is growing. It's weight. Are you following me or not? So gaining weight is healthy. Losing weight is unhealthy. So the general idea, what is the first sign we worry about if somebody have cancer? Losing weight. So weight loss is not healthy, and weight loss is healthy if it's going to be done right. Weight loss is unhealthy if it's going to be done wrong. You follow me? So how did these kids, to us, gain that weight? They ate, correct? What did they eat to make them... Okay, let me back up for a second. Why do we eat? What's the reason we eat? We have to eat. The baby comes out, opening his mouth right away, he wants to suck. Why do we eat?
Survive.
Because we want to grow. Because we need energy. Because there are 6 characteristics built in a human brain by God for human and 3 for animals. Humans have 6 things they must fulfill, and animals has similar. One of them, eating and drinking, you must. It doesn't matter if you are 1 hour old or 1 week old, whatever, you want to eat and you want to drink. Because it's not your choice to eat. It's mandatory. It's called these are the things that were implemented in a human embryo when embryo becomes a human. That when you get out, you must eat, you must drink, you must defecate, you must breathe, you must sleep. All of these things built in. You follow me or not? You can't change it, because if you change it, you die. Then there are other things built in only in human, not in animals, that desire to work, desire to worship, desire to control somebody, the power to this, the kind of human was given a choice to do right from wrong. They have a choice to work or not to work. If they work, they can steal, or they can work legitimate, but animals don't have that. They always eat what they were told to eat. But humans have a choice. So in any case, gaining weight is supposed to be a healthy thing. So if we look at when did the human race start gaining weight, human race did not gain weight. The human race had the same weight for the last 12 or 20,000 or 30,000 years. They were not fat. Are you understanding me or not? If you look at the pictures and the tombs in Egypt, or in India, or in China, or wherever you go, you will not see too many fat people except the king, because he ate too much, he doesn't have to work. Then you see him with a big belly like that or something. But all the people are skinny because they're working, eating, there's no problem. Until, how many people were here in the last lecture? You were here in the last lecture. Okay. So for the people who were not here in the last lecture, which was 50% of the people in front of me, weight gain started at the year 1800 and started going up like that, and we talked about it in the last lecture. If you have taken your acuity and your lecithin and your omega-3 and your ginkgo and your protein, then you would remember what I said. What did I say? Well, you didn't hear the answer. Okay. We said last time when we talked about sugar and cancer that sugar start being, white flour and sugar will start being introduced at 1800. Remember that? And it's become epidemic now. It's going like this because it became sugar by 1800, then white flour 1800, then juice 1870 when they had the juicer, squeezing that. Then sugar cane, the sugar cubes white 1880, And then 1970, when Coca-Cola and they put their massive amount of fructose in the drinks, and then on and on. And then if you understand this problem, I talked last time to the people who did not bother to come last time. You should feel guilty. I said that when the body gets bombarded with white flour and sugar, the liver cannot handle it. Right? Remember that? That's called the sugar overload. When the liver gets overloaded, what does it do? From last lecture. When the liver gets too much sugar coming in, it doesn't store very much at all. The first thing the liver does, it has an order to send 70% of the sugar to the brain. The brain is on fire. The human brain is like a nuclear reactor. It has close to 3 trillion nerves firing every second, all the time, even when you sleep. They are. They consume lots of energy. They consume lots of sugar, and you want to prove it to yourself, just don't have any sugar, eat at all one day, and you get hypoglycemic with low blood sugar, and you feel what? Sweating, dizzy, lightheaded, because the brain lets you know, I need food. It doesn't matter how much you weigh. The brain has to have this food. Did I say 70%, right? 70% goes right here, if the amount you're eating is normal. And 30% goes to the muscles. So you want to burn sugar or energy, you burn it by what? By exercising. However, one meal of high calorie, it might require 3 hours of intensive exercise to counter it. One hamburger of McDonald's requires 3 hours of exercise. Which one of us have the time and the energy to exercise heavily for 3 hours, knowingly your heart may be clogged and you're going to have a heart attack and drop dead anyway? So it's better to be overweight and safe than exercise and dead. You follow me? That's what happened to people when they run in the marathon. I said, what are you doing? You know? Running. Running from what? You know? From the police? Running. And then you study their habits, diet, vitamins. There's nothing. It's empty can. And no wonder you hear about them. They play and they drop dead, they run, drop dead, you know, because it's a furnace. You got to supply it with what? Nutrients and get rid of toxins. But if you don't do that, it's like a car. You need energy to move, you got to get fuel, but you get rid of the exhaust. But if you shut the exhaust, you don't want to get rid of it, or you don't put the fuel, what happened to the car? Will stop. And that is why exercise doesn't work. Because exercise, it works. If you're willing to work 3 hours a day heavily, exercise to do that. I'm not against exercise, but I'm warning you, before you exercise heavily, you better have a stress test, and you better have a Holter monitor, and you better have a cardiolite scan of the heart, or echocardiogram, because that pump is an engine. If you get it to work too fast, and something wrong with it. The nerves, it can stop. The valves can stop. The muscle can stop. The electricity can stop. You follow me? It's an engine working together, and you don't know. And the sad part, many doctors do an EKG and said you're fine. EKG only tells you you're still alive, but it doesn't tell you if you're going to live after exercise. And a stress test, regular stress we do as a cardiologist myself, is only 50% accurate. We only see 50% of the things until we discover the nuclear scanners that can see inside the heart without cutting. Then now we can see inside the heart, see inside the heart, and we can tell which artery is blocked without surgery, and we can tell the patient from the blood test what they do wrong, and we can change it so it fits, so they have better heart and better circulation and lose weight. So in this issue right here, 70 and 30, it's fine if we were living in this era right here, before 1800. What happened before 1800? People were eating more whole grains. People were eating more fruits. People were eating more vegetables, right? But they did not eat sugar cane. They did not have juices, right? They did not have white flour because they couldn't separate the bran. So that's how a human lived for about 20 or 30,000 years, whatever how many years we've been since Adam until today. That's how we did. We only destroyed ourselves and our environment in the last 200 years. And that was proven from the criminals, soldiers, who went out from England, invading India. I call them criminals. Those criminals invaded Egypt, and they have record. So we went back to the British Museum to see what the doctors say about them. Before 1800, everybody was perfect. After that, every soldier started complaining more and more and more. They stopped killing the world about 1950, and then after that comes Mr. Bush to finish it. So, so in any case, this is what the history of humanity was. The question is this. This curve going up right here with sugar, the weight went up. The diabetes went up. The cancer went up. The heart disease went up. Right? Depression went up. Suicide went up. And so on. Right or wrong? So we have unhealthy families, unhealthy society, and it's all related basically to what you put inside the body. So to try to say, I want to lose some weight, you have to understand how did you gain that weight? You gain that weight because the food God gave you was plants and animals to eat. So there were animals like deers and chicken and all kind of animals and fish, and they have animal cells that you can eat that, but that constituted animal food was the majority of the meal of the people before 1800, majority of it, vegetables or meat. Vegetables, because the meat is rare, and it's hard to hunt, it's hard to get. You understand, right? You see it in documentaries, they share very little between each other of meat, right? But when it comes to vegetables, all the grounds is available for fruits and vegetables, so naturally they were eating also vegetables. The vegetables They're like this, grown in the ground like that, like a plant. In the roots, we might have potatoes, which have what? Starches. Or what we might have yams, which have starches for calories. Carbohydrates, we're coming back to complex carbohydrates versus sugar. Okay? This what they can eat. Or they can eat corn from here. Just recently, last 100, 200 years, we started eating corn, and wheat was older than that. And then other grains were older than that. But also there were fruits hanging from trees, and were these people eating more grains and vegetables or more fruits? Fruits were very rare on earth. The whole forest, you go through it, you're lucky if you have one fruit tree that's sweet, and the macaws and the birds the monkeys will be competing with you on it. But the rest are roots and things with starches in it. Easy to get, easy to fill the stomach. But the fruits were just like a gift, that God gave us something to say thank you for that sweet thing. But it was not the meal fruits. It was mostly vegetables and grains. So what do we get from grains and roots for energy? We get starches, right? And we talked about it last time. It takes time to digest starches and absorb it. It takes 6 to 8 hours. And also we get from the vegetables some fibers. Because when you eat a whole grain, or you eat corn on the cob, you eat also fibers with it. It gets stuck in between your teeth, right? So those fiber, when you eat that kind of food, can you digest fibers? Can we digest fibers as human beings? People who told us we sell you soluble fibers, that's better than the salad. It doesn't make a difference. There's no fiber that's going to enter the blood. Why is that? Because if it enters, will do what? Will clog the arteries. Everything has to be digested to molecules, tiny, 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 that it can go in the arteries. 1 million miles of arteries has to go through. This plant cell and fruit cell and salad cell and potato cell, all of those cells surrounded by a membrane made from cellulose. You heard about cellulose, right? Our stomach does not have enzyme, cellulase, to digest cellulose. But the cow does. The horse doesn't. The dog doesn't. But the cow does. So you can give the cow all the rotten vegetables in the farm, and they live on it because they have 4 stomachs. And they have cellulase enzyme. But also horses do have cellulase up to limit. We don't have that. So when you eat and chew and eat whole grain, you only can break 30% of the cells. If you eat a fruit, you only can break 30% of the cells. And the cells you broke, you're going to get the sugar out or the starches out of it. But the cells you didn't break, what happened to it? It passed through. So it becomes like fibers. Just it helps digestion. So this is the difference between animal cells, like our cell, human cell. Our cells are built different completely from plant cells. Animal cells are completely digestible. If you eat a chicken or turkey or eggs or something, they're 100%, or milk, they're all 100% digested. But the plant are not. Which one raises the blood sugar? The animal cells or the plant cells? The plant. Which one will raise it more? The refined carbohydrate or the whole grain?
Refined.
Which one will raise the sugar more?
Refined.
Refined, because refined, as we said in the last lecture, it gets all digested. There is no cellulose anymore. The mill itself, when they squeeze a grain, they broke every single cell to white flour. And they separated the bran, out, and then use the bran for something else, and then you get the white flour. So the white flour, when it enters the body, does it give too much sugar in short period of time or not? Refined flour.
Yes.
Naturally, it does. It's a 30%, the other 100%. And the time is short. You digest white bread in 2 hours. You just digest whole grain in 6 hours. Because the stomach is like a washing machine. It keeps going on and on and on, trying hard and trying hard and trying hard. 6 hours, it cannot break through. And then you see the beans and the grains, some of it coming out. In this case, a white flour, everything gets absorbed. It creates on the liver something called the sugar load. So the sugar load, if we get, this is your mouth right here, and this is the refined sugar coming in, and or the whole wheat coming in. You might ask right now, what this got to do with weight? But if you 10% smart, you will already know it by now. There's a correlation right there between how much we're consuming of sugar and refined and juices versus whole grains and vegetables and that. This is digestible and this not digestible. You got that or not? So here we go. We pass the stomach, and then this group right here, gets 100% digested. This group here gets 30% digested. You following the difference now? So we're using one good person, a bad person at the same time. And then this person here might have white flour followed by orange juice. This person here have a whole grain followed by water. Which one or two will have more sugar load on the liver? One. So, and then to make it worse, even you can consume the sugar concentrate, white sugar, whatever, which people do. Syrup, corn syrup, or any kind of concentrated. But this guy here will have a fruit. But the fruit gets only 30% what? Digested. So his sugar load is less. The sugar load is high. So here's a big order. We must have sugar to the brain. See, we start from the beginning again. Sugar must be given to the brain. So if I have a person in the hospital who's going to die from low blood sugar, I'm going to give him intravenous sugar. You follow me? I'm not going to tell him, oh, by the way, you should chew on that fruit when he's in a coma. We give him sugar to save the brain. But when he gets out, we tell him that's what happened to you as a diabetic, or that's what's wrong, that's how you change from one to the other. You tell your diabetic patients and overweight patients, Just make one change to whole grains and fibers and fruits and meat right here, rather than juices and refined and French fries and all of that, and you, without exercise, you will see the difference. But there are other factors make us gain, such like hormones and things like that. We'll talk about it in the end of the lecture. But it's not important factors, but it is a factor. So when this sugar have entered our body in high doses, started 1800, what happened to the liver when he gets too much white flour, too much potatoes, too much rice, too much macaroni, too much juices, too much of that? What happened to the liver? Still send sugar to the brain, but there was and still send a little bit to the muscles, but there is a lot more left. So what does the liver do? No, it does not. Liver never store unless you force it. Liver will store little bit of sugar, of starches called the glycogen for only emergency accidents or cancer. They're not much. They may be equal to a handful of corn. Just in emergency situation, the liver releases it. And same thing with vitamins, same thing with protein. Liver will store just a tiny bit. But the liver is not a storage factory. It's a processing plant. You follow me? It doesn't have storage cells, lots of it around. Every cell is working so hard to do something. Detoxification, amino acid, you name it, the liver is working on. But the storage, you can, I tell you where it's going to be stored. The liver will take the extra sugar. Now there's no white flours in the liver because it got digested, right? When last time I checked, when I took some blood, we didn't see any rice, we didn't see macaroni, we didn't see white flour. We only saw nice syrup with the sugar in it. So the liver will convert the sugar to LDL and triglyceride and VLDL. Did I say cholesterol? I did not. I did not, because the liver doesn't make cholesterol. So the idea of cholesterol clogging arteries and causing heart disease and taking cholesterol medication is completely unfounded. And it's all big business. Our body, when we look at it, clogged with fat. Cholesterol is not fat. You follow me or no? Cholesterol is a hormone. Fat is fat. So, because the LDL, it has little bit cholesterol attached to it and HDL, so then they said we blame the cholesterol portion, but the big portion is the LDL and the triglyceride and VLDL. They go in the blood and they get stored in the arteries. Where in the artery? Inside the artery wall right here. And they cause clogged arteries. And after they clog in most of the arteries, then they start accumulating in the stomach and under the skin. So, unfortunately, the first part to suffer with the LDL, that is on the circulation. Before the stomach, before you notice it, even you're overweight. Sometimes even a child who's skinny, consuming sugars, we check their arteries and it's clogged. 50% of Vietnam veterans who got killed in Vietnam, we did autopsy, and then when I was at the VA, 50% of the 17 years old had blocked arteries. And they did not. They were not overweight. So this is the process right here. When we try to get rid of weight, first weight we want to get rid of are from the arteries. And the second weight we want to get off is from the skin and the stomach. You follow me or no? We must clean the circulation first. And we cannot clean it. We can clean it with diet and exercise and omega-3 and all that stuff. But it's not the only thing clogging the artery. There is another substance come out from the liver, clogs the arteries more than the triglycerides. That's called the homocysteine. And the homocysteine is an toxic amino acid that the liver got confused and made it because an unhealthy liver does that. And then when it does deposit, it's like crazy glue. It deposits, homocysteine deposits on the cells right here of the body. These are the cells of the body. If you can imagine it, it deposits outside right here. Where the triglycerides and fat, they deposit inside the membrane right here. This is fat in the wall of the cell. You understand? That's a bad fat. So, if you want to clean the body from fat, what part you must clean first? The fat under the skin or the cell? The cells first. And the first thing we have to do is dissolve the fat around the cell. And that comes with the diet we talked about. We're talking about the changing your diet, this will happen. That will dissolve it. But this will happen that you dissolve that fat. Homocysteine, you can dissolve it with a process we call methylation, or used to be called chelation. And that is most likely you're not going to be able to do it alone by yourself. You must have a blood test to check the level of homocysteine, and then we must give you vitamin B1 and 2 and 3 and 5 and 6 and folic acid and 12 and TMJ. All of these things we must give intravenously directly in the cell, not by mouth, and that is how we deal with it for the last 30 years. And we do that like once a month or something like that. We give the person a dose to detoxify homocysteine out. And we measure the level every 6 months or a year to see how low we get it. You follow me or no? Okay. What is the cell membrane of the person who is living? This is the person who is living in this era. That's a cell, and that's the membrane around it. And this is here. Are you following me or you lost? This is the back era right here. Here's a cell, and there's a membrane around it. In here, in this part here, when we analyze them from dead people and mummies and things like that, we found that their membrane is 100% omega-3. So our ancestors must have been eating lots of fish. And they ate very little fat, and the fat they ate it from the animal, probably they burned it the same day running machinery. You understand? I used to remember my dad in the village that when we go and he have a glass like this, half full of honey and half with water. And he would drink that every single day. And I said, when I became a cardiologist, I invited him to come. I said, oh, his arteries is going to be all shot. It was 100% clean. And I was wrong. Because many times I told him, you don't know what you're doing, I think you're ignorant, you just don't know. But I didn't realize he never ride a car. He always walked miles and miles and miles every single day. So that's his life. I didn't know that. When I'm in America, I didn't know he was doing that all the time. He will walk 10 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles, whatever, until he gets there. That's his. Most of farmers do that. They walk a lot all over the world. So this guy here, like me and you, the cell membrane has what's in it. What do we have here? LDL and triglycerides, right? We're supposed to have what? Omega-3. So if you're the doctor, and then I'm overweight, and you want to give me advice, and you want to take some of that fat out and replace it with omega-3 to tell me what? Don't eat so much sugar, don't eat so much white bread, don't eat so much fat, and eat more fish omega-3. When omega-3 goes in, it fills this area and kicks the fat out. And the next day, this area and the fat comes out. Within 10 years, all your body is omega-3 again like it was with your ancestor 200 years ago. See how wonderful it is that our disasters can turn to miracles. That I do predict, and I do predict that people who take care of themselves health-wise, scientifically, like we're talking about right here, by doing the right thing, getting the right testing, and doing all that, will live to over 120, not in nursing homes, will be still working. And the rest, in Washington, D.C., and the big corporation, Exxon, and all that stuff, we will pass by their graves, and we say, well, it's too bad. Because I can see it in my practice. In 30 years, we had only one open heart surgery. In 30 years, we lost very little cancer patient with cancer, except that the cancer was advanced. I see healthy people. And their problems may be overweight, but their circulation is getting better. You follow me where I'm getting from the roots of the problem. Because removing the fat and putting the omega-3 requires lots of energy. Removing fat, putting omega, it doesn't just happen like magic. It's an enzyme. Has to go in and remove the fat, and another enzyme puts the omega-3 in. Are you following me? So, what's an enzyme made of? If you heard me 30 years ago, you would remember. Enzyme made from 3 parts. 1, 2, 3. Made from vitamins and minerals and amino acids. So the person who's losing weight, would you tell him, take good quality vitamins? Would you tell him, take good quality minerals? Right or wrong? And when it comes to vitamins and minerals, don't fall for these hypes you hear every single day on TV and the market and all of that. 90% of the vitamin you get in stores either have dirt inside the capsule or grass. And you pay only $2 for the bottle. I can sell you my grass cheaper than that. If you come to my house in my farm, we'll give you lots of manure for free. So anyway, this energy requires more nutrition. That food supplement. That's why we need food supplement to make enzymes. So we can make weight loss more successful. I said it takes 10 years to build the body back like original. So anybody who wants to lose the weight over 3 months or 6 months or a year, they're mistaken. You got to be slow and clean your body slowly, and don't worry about it. The people who are fatter than you, the Eskimos, they're full of 100% omega-3, and they're very big fat. They have zero cancer and zero heart disease and zero diabetes with that much weight. So you would say, gosh, you know, the seals and whales with all the fat, they must have clogged the arteries and all that. They don't. It's all omega-3 having it, and the fat in it, they have all omega-3. If you take it and smell it, it smells like fish. Right or wrong? Right. It doesn't smell like a cow fat. So the problem right here is when we try to clean the body, we have to clean it by cleaning the cell itself. So I almost reached the end of the lecture already. I just got to my last paper. Okay. No, I have to figure out something to entertain you so you don't get bored. If you look at the diet of our ancestors, this is now statistics. And I got your message, by the way, about the protein, and I didn't listen to it until I got here. So, our ancestors, before 200 years, this was their diet. In potassium, they consume lots of spinach and vegetables and salads, which have lots of potassium, right? And they consume 10,000 milliequivalent a day. Us, we consume 150. Potassium is important against aches and pains. It's good for circulation. It's good against fibromyalgia. It's good against cramps. You know, potassium is good for the heart, red blood cells, you know. So you can tell what's the difference between them and us in potassium. In the sodium, they only consume salt very little because salt considered more expensive than gold in those days. But us, we consume more. And the fiber, they consume 100 grams a day. We consume 9 grams a day. See? Just stop for a second right here. Forget about the weight issue. Stop for a second about the fiber, which that takes us to alfalfa, for example, which is all fibers, shakli alfalfa. It's more important to take more alfalfa than take shakli fibers. Because alfalfa, it has more benefit than the fibers, and it has fibers. But you have to understand how many alfalfa you're going to take. You have to powder it and take tablespoon or 2 tablespoons and put it in the salad or cooking versus the fiber using the same 2 tablespoons. But which one gives us more benefit? The alfalfa does. That true or not true? You know, alfalfa is the horses, they don't go to a doctor and they look healthy to us on alfalfa. And camels and elephants and dinosaurs. Animals who eat alfalfa are healthy. So why don't we go back to alfalfa? You understand? The problem is the number of pills. Powder it and take 2 tablespoons and mix it with every salad or every soup or everything you do. You're not going to smell it, you're not going to taste it. Maybe Shakli will make powder alfalfa one day. So fiber is important because they don't get absorbed, but when they swell, you know, fibers swell with water, like sawdust. If you put water on it or wood, what happens to it? Expands, right? And that's how the ancient Egyptians cut their mountains to make the pyramids and stones. If you go to Egypt and you go to Luxor, you see the remnant of them making holes in the ground and making a line, making holes that deep in the granite, this wide, fill it with sawdust, fill it with saturated with water overnight, seal it with wax, do the next one. Within a week, the whole thing cracks in straight line. because the hydraulic pressure of the water is more powerful than the rock. You know, hydraulic, a caterpillar can, with little bit, can lift something heavy because it's powerful stuff. So the fibers does lots of things for us. It expands, it fills us up, so we're not hungry. Expands, so it circles in the intestine and cleans and detoxifies the chemicals out of the intestine and removes polyps. Fibers is hydrophilic. What's hydrophilic mean? Loves water. But fibers also lipophilic, means loves fat. So actually, if you have a garage with oil, you put some bran or sawdust, absorb fat. If you eat and you're a little bit sloppy and you put your cotton shirt, some grease on it, you can see it. That everybody can see you didn't pay attention. Right there. Because cotton absorbs also fat. And then I was, about 20 years ago, when Exxon Valdez blew their tanks in Alaska, and they spent $5 billion cleaning every piece of the ocean with a brush and all the rocks and all the stuff. I was watching the news when they put in the thing. I said, you got Oregon, you got all this sawdust over there, take it and dump it over it. And you can calculate it as a chemist, the ratio between fiber to oil. It's 3 to 1. So it's 1 foot or 3 feet. And all will be absorbed, go in the bottom, and will become organic food for the fish. And it's not toxic, because oil itself is not toxic if the fish eat it. Because it's organic. The oil is organic from the earth. You follow me? It's when we process it to gasoline and that we make toxin out of it. But the oil itself is not toxic. It's like charcoal, like carbon, heavy. It does not. But it's a black gold. So fibers, they had 100 grams, we have 9. So in the process, when we're talking right now about fibers, if you are eating food with Thanksgiving and all these fatty meals you eat, that's fine. Enjoy yourself and eat the turkey with some fat and all that, but just take some fibers and salad with it. 90% of that fat will go out. It's not going to be out. There's no way the intestine can compete with fiber, because the hygroscopic capacity of a fiber, the ability to absorb something rapidly, called the hygroscopic, the powerful suction of the fiber to the water or fat is much more powerful than the intestine sucking it in. You got the point or not? So start the diet with your protein drink if you want to have a healthy diet. Soy complex. Lots of people talking bad about soy, but because they are ignorant. Soy is consumed by 2/3 of the world, the Orientals, which are 2 billion people. They consume soy for the last 3,000-4,000 years, and they're healthy. Only the jealousy in the markets, they start moving people from soy to other things like milk or other proteins. I don't understand it, because soy, it has tremendous other benefits in it. You can have that. So the protein they drank those days, they ate, what did they eat? They ate beans, lentils, right? These are soybean. And they ate little bit of eggs. I don't know how many people you've been raised on a farm. There's a shortage of eggs on farm if you have lots of kids. Because the chicken cannot keep up. Chicken cannot keep up with my kids. We had 4 of them, and then it seems like they eat 100 a day or something, because we never find an egg at the end of the day. And they said coyotes and things ate it, but didn't. So protein is a vegetable protein, soy protein you consume. And how are you going to have breakfast if you want to enjoy a breakfast with protein? you can have some eggs. What's wrong with eggs? Cholesterol? I didn't mention anything about it. So eggs have lecithin, has vitamins, have good stuff in it. I used to see, that's again my father, he used to consume like 6, 7 eggs in the morning. Because they're going to spoil if they leave it outside anyway. So they have to boil it and eat it, otherwise it's going to go rotten. But the cholesterol never come out. So the idea I don't eat eggs because cholesterol also is false. We can prove it to you. You get your blood done, you eat all the eggs you want, come back again and we'll show you it went down, not up. Because when you add the protein and you have some eggs and you have some yogurt and you have maybe a little bit of fruit, you have a healthy meal and you take your vitamins in the end with omega-3 so you don't have bad breath, and then you go to the lunch, you can have the big salad, again, vegetables right there with some tuna or chicken on it, and another day you can change to other things, do whatever you want, and then have some protein if you want with it. We'll have protein between lunch and dinner, or breakfast and lunch, so fill your stomach with it rather than, and you can put stevia in it, so it fools the brain for sugar, or stevia is natural, xylitol is natural, NutraSweet is terrible, so you want to avoid that. Splenda, we don't know how good or bad it is. It seems like it's more good than bad in it so far. But in any way, that's what you do with dinner time. You do the same thing in dinner time, but add more meat and things like that. So you can be on a diet that you enjoy without being miserable. But what happens if you go out? Out, then have, again, the vegetable. When you have a salad, don't put blue cheese and all the creamy stuff on it so you can ruin it. Because that stuff, the dressing is full of sugar. Put olive oil and put vinegar, put salt, garlic salt, jalapeno pepper, anything to make it tasty. And it doesn't have to be the dressing that, of course, is tasty. Everything tasty kills you anyway. Okay. See, they consume 37% of protein, our ancestors. We consume only 20, and it's from the wrong protein. McDonald's mostly. Carbohydrates. They consume 41% grains. We consume 40% sugar. Fat. They consume 22% omega-3. We consume 40% bad fat. You see the comparison right here? Okay. So if you want to look like this, with your intestine showing, then nobody wants you. But if you want to act like this, and happy and yawning like this, then you have to work on it. The human body made from a bunch of cells. From the top to the bottom, the body made from the brain, the eye, this, the heart, the lung, the heart, this, all of these organs made from cells. And the arteries that supply blood also made from cells. Are you following me or are you going to sleep? Okay. Those cells are getting clogged. So the brain is suffering, the eye is suffering, the heart is suffering, the liver is suffering, everything is suffering. So don't think there's a magic regimen or a pill is going to make you feel good. It's going to take work from inside out, not from outside in. That cell right here has to be clean. That's the cell we're talking about. Because in the membrane right here is full of fat. It's supposed to be full of omega-3. That's a cellular membrane. But for some of you who know some biology, this inside here, what do we call that one? The nucleus. nucleus have also membrane. And the membrane also has omega-3, supposedly. As a matter of fact, I calculated that the brain is made of 80% omega-3, and the eye 90%, and the rest of the body 70%. So omega-3 is good for vision. You didn't know that, but we did give a lecture about it. When you have so much fat in the body, you could develop cancer because fat attracts free radicals. They are oil soluble, like gasoline and kerosene and all that. Most of the hormones they spray are oil soluble. And these chemicals that we have in society, we call them the free radicals. Those free radicals, they attack the fat. So when you get rid of the fat, cleaning the cell, you get rid of also of free radical. Then I got you there. Now I'm going to check your chemistry. Free radical means a bad thing. And you get rid of it, you cleaning your body from it. Because it's in the fat, it's going to cause cancer. Because the fat that burned and the free radical is free. So it's going to cause cancer. But here's the answer. God gave us vitamin that have two hands over its head, like that grabs free radicals and takes it out of the kidney. That's vitamin C. And we call that antioxidant or anti-free radical. Vitamin E is more powerful than vitamin C. Beta-carotene is more powerful. Flavonox is more powerful. Soy protein is more powerful. And so there is so many things. And the darker the fruits and vegetables, the better it is. So you cannot compare Macintosh apple with a green apple. Macintosh has 200 times more bioflavonoid than the green apple does. Because the color itself. Talk about colors. There are people going around selling juices with color from the forest, from tropical forest. $70 a bottle like this. Don't fall for that. Just eat your good blueberry and the grapes and dark stuff and enjoy it. And you got more bioflavonoid than you pay for the $70 a bottle. You get it from those people who want to sell you something. These cells also, human cells also attract something that I put in the last lecture, and actually I put in every lecture, because it's important. Flame retardants. You know what flame retardants are? The scientific name of it, PCB, phencyclidine, which is a highly toxic chemical, sprayed on everything you see in this room. Everything around you here, PCB company by law, by their connections in Congress, passed the law, everything is sprayed by PCB in America. So we don't have fire. This paper right here, that can burn so easy, is sprayed with fire retardant. To make money to the company, it's going to burn, we know that. Maybe even the firewood you get from you split it, sprayed also with PCB, who knows? But the sad part of it is this article, it says right here that 100% of mother milk in America have PCB in it. 100% of the whole thing. So let's not panic about it. What are we going to do? We're going to give the mother omega-3, the baby omega-3, we're going to give the mother vitamins, the baby vitamin, we're going to get rid of it. You understand? We don't want to have here problems without solutions. Because I've given you a problem without solution, you leave depressed. You said, I wish I didn't come to the lecture. Another thing, fat releases free radicals itself, causes inflammation. The inflammation of the body can lead to cancer or heart attacks or Alzheimer or heart failure or stroke, arthritis, all kind of problems right here. It's on the DVD. So this means when we get rid of fat with omega-3, we also less achy and have less inflammation. Are you with me? Yes. Okay. Well, I owe you only 20 more minutes. So I'm going to slow down now. Now, this one right here, I like to put it in every lecture. It's all because this is my country. I came from Egypt almost 4 years ago and became my country. And I lectured here, I don't lecture in Egypt. And I want people to be healthy here and there, but I'm here. You follow me? We have a map of the United States released by the Nuclear Energy Commission to tell us that every single day you outside, you have fallout in the summer of radiation on your skin and your body and your food. And the fallout, here it says blue, no fallout. And that's only in the Rockies. The rest of the country is yellow, moderate radiation. You know, in chemistry, moderate, little, and moderate and severe. Is moderate too much of radiation or no? Yes. Of course, you don't want any radiation. Moderate is too much. So when we make a big thing about North Korea, this, it's one earth God made. He didn't make two of them. What goes on here goes to North Korea. What goes on there comes to us. When Chernobyl got released, contaminated us. When we blew atomic bombs, we contaminated them. The amount of radiation in the world, my friends, is rising all the time. And it kills. Except the nice thing about it, vitamin E is very powerful against radiation, and also iodine, which you get that from seafood. When you eat seafood, you get lots of iodine. So we talked about something bad and followed by something good. Some of these chemicals in the body might show on the face by spots called age spots. This is a fatty tumors full with chemicals in it. We call age. Those ones, we watch them for cancer. We remove them if they look ugly. But the problem not in the skin. The problem is in the brain. This is a picture of real brain with the free radicals inside it. What this will lead to? What do you think? Will lead to Alzheimer, MS, seizures, anything in the brain doesn't make the brain work fine. And another problem there, we have noticed that this fat does in the body, those free radicals fat. So we're really concentrating today on the cells inside and the arteries. We didn't talk about looks. That you want to be healthy from inside out, not outside it. You follow me? So don't worry about the scale. Worry about the circulation inside. Sometimes even that fat makes the body attack itself because it releases free radicals. This actually was something I was going to compare the soy protein to synthetic hormones. Soy protein has in it phytonutrients. You see it in cruciferous vegetables. You know cruciferous vegetables, right? Cabbage, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and all that. It has lots of anti-cancer of the breast, anti-cancer of the ovary, anti-cancer of the uterus. And also vitamins, all of these things, they work to clean the body from the pesticides that sprays around your house and goes to the fat and causes breast cancer. We have in our circulation a battle between the arteries with fat. They're going to be constricted. It's going to grow to have aneurysm, and the cells will grow to make cancer. It's inflamed. It makes blood clots. It has more oxidation. Where actually, when you go with the diet we talked about, you have more dilatation, right? That's better or not good? Is it good, right? More circulation. It has growth inhibition, so the body inhibits cancer automatically. It has anti-blood clots. That's good, right? It has anti-inflammatory. That's good. It has antioxidant. So it's a battle. I compare my patients with this balance every year. When I examine all my patients, I compare this versus that, what direction I'm heading. Because when we look at those free radicals we talked about, that it comes from drugs and diet and pesticide and cigarettes and ozone and all that, when it attacks the DNA, what does it do to the DNA? It changes it. If you change it, that's dangerous, right? Because it can become cancerous. So right here, the article says, here's the article, that these things can damage the DNA, but the antioxidant protect you. We talked about the election. And it says there are a number of DNA repair enzymes, such as exonucleases and endonucleases and specific glycolases, that can remove the damage of the DNA. And how the process is not perfect, but 99% successful. So that means if you inherited heart disease or cancer or whatever from your family, your children will not pass it to their children if you change their diet. Because we discover that you can reverse genetic disorders. Not in you, but in your child. You can do that. But you have to convince the child to listen to you anyway. You know, that is a big problem. We do measure the degree of problems in people by blood tests, and there are so many of them, I don't have time to talk about it. And there are more good news. We discovered recently inside the DNA, inside the nucleus, there is a gene that's anti-aging gene. And we call it the nutrition gene. So you never heard that before, but you heard it tonight from me. The nutrient gene, right here, the benefit of it, it lowers lipids, it lowers the blood sugar, right here and here, it lowers blood pressure, it lowers cancer, it reduces heart disease. But if you don't have the gene or the gene is damaged, then you will have increased lipids, increased sugar, increased insulin resistance, increased blood pressure, increased cancer, increased heart disease. So the problem, it sounds difficult, but it's so easy from the article I just showed you from Harvard. It's 99% successful. You can correct it. Here is an artery of a child that born from a mother that ate the wrong stuff. And inside that artery of that child, we see the beginning of deposit of fat in the wall of the artery. You see that or no? Yes. Okay. I'm going to remove that child and bring somebody older. This person is older. This person is 32 years old. And that's a 32 years old woman who died from a heart attack. And we notice, look here and here and here, the deposits inside her artery. This area right here, I'm going back and forth. I'm going to magnify to you. This is all glass, crystals inside the artery. I'm going to show it to you in a minute. This another one from 10 years old boy, 10 years old male, yeah. We see the deposits inside his arteries right here and here. And this is magnification. Let's ignore that and get something more exciting. Okay, this is the magnified artery of the same boy who's 10 years old. Here are the crystals inside. You see that? But I don't know if you're going to tell me what that is underneath the circle right here, and here, and here, and here. No, you probably don't know anything about it because you're not a pathologist. These actually, his defense system eating the cholesterol, dissolving it for him in the same time he's forming. So he was born with the ability to survive. You follow me? That gives us more hope that we never give up on anybody. This is a picture of crystals here and empty here. The fat of the cells disappear and left vacant holes. All we have to do is fill it with omega-3. Then that child's dead already, so it's too late now. This is a picture of a guy who died from heart problem. Look at his artery. Look how thick it is. When we deal with heart problem and circulation, this person in front of you, this is the artery right here. Do you see any blockage inside the artery? None. And he died from what? Because we have two diseases in the artery. If the plaque is inside, we call it ATH-RO, atherosclerosis. If the block is in the wall, we call it arteriosclerosis. So when we deal with our patient, the cardiologist, when we detoxify the circulation by methylation, which is similar to chelation, what we do, we give once a month for 4 years and try to remove that from the cell and give them the nutrition, and we have very good results. Just, it is, I owe you 4 more minutes, but let me see what else I want to talk about. One of the things we found that contribute to inability to lose weight are hormones. Lack of DHEA hormone can make you gain weight and lose memory and develop cancer. And we found out that 10 years ago, that this was discovered, this hormone was discovered, and then we recommended to our patient after we do blood tests. People who are 65, all of their blood tests for hormones covered by Medicare. They don't pay anything. People who are not, 100% of insurance company pays for hormone blood tests. So I just want you to know that that health insurance has been changing toward more prevention these days. DHEA itself decreases inflammation, improve immune, improve depression, rheumatoid arthritis, diabetes, and get rid of excess body fat. It's like testosterone. It's similar to testosterone. So if you're a woman, you're probably going to get 25 milligrams or 10 to 25. If you're a man, you probably get 100 after we do the blood test. This is a great hormone for memory and everything. The other hormones are excellent is the natural estrogen. The natural estrogen which you get from soy protein, you get from menopausal complex, and you get from Mexican wild yams, that's like we do ours. You can order natural hormones without coming to our office. If you are a woman over 50, you can order, and then I have to talk to you. There's no charge for the phone conversation. How old are you? If you have cancer, we will not give it to you. If you don't have cancer, we'll give you the hormone. You don't have to make it, and you don't have to do it. It's better to do a blood test, see exactly what you are missing. But if you are in Alaska, it's better just to stay in Alaska. Okay. Okay, this is an article to show that the majority of women today will conduct approximately 1/3 of their life without hormones. In this one right here, I have a summary and other hormones, but I don't have the time to discuss it. In this one right here is showing that the shape of the body changes, the fat deposits, after clogging the arteries, then the stomach, then the hips and things like that. It goes there. So the first improvement, you're going to feel better. Then after that, you lose weight. You understand or not? Okay. Omega-3 is very important. We already talked about that. And this is a picture of a woman who have no hormones. And that's what will happen to you if you don't have enough hormones. And there's lots of things here on omega-3. Oh, soy protein, I put that in the last minute because she called me and then I saw it and I said maybe I can put that on the screen. If you can read hieroglyphic or Arabic, you can read that. Let me figure it myself. Soy protein inhibits protein kinase, that's an enzyme that causes cancer. It decreases cancer adhesion, that the cancer cell will not stick with each other. That prevents metastasis. It's an anti-angiogenesis, means cancer cells tend to bring more blood to grow and blocks the blood supply to it. It decreases estrogen receptors so you don't develop breast cancer. So it's contrary, actually prevents breast cancer, not causes it. It increases apoptosis. It's a mechanism that white blood cells eats cancer cells for apoptosis, means eat it. And they do that by, this is the way they do it, by going like that, and that's how they eat cells. So if you have cells like this that has lots of fat and triglycerides and homocysteine, you think it's going to help you. If your white blood cell, the killer cells that's supposed to protect you against cancer, if it has all the chemicals we talked about, you think it will work? Well, the answer is no. It's not going to work. Anyway, it does help chemotherapy. It does help the prostate. It does help with the bioflavonoids together. It decreases cancer growth, and also let me see what that says. Okay, actually, if you are taking soy protein and you taken which have ginseng in it, with the bioflavonoid together, it gets rid of the pesticide that causes breast cancer. If you have beta-carotene and protein and vitamin D, you decrease cancer. So we talked a lot about cancer in the end of the lecture. However, I wanted to introduce you to your friend that we talked earlier about, which is alfalfa. I think I have 3 minutes on the tape yet, right? Okay, thank you. Alfalfa, active ingredients. So you know what the horses don't know. It has 8 essential amino acids. It has minerals, calcium, magnesium, and potassium, and iron, and zinc. It has beta-carotene, vitamin E, vitamin K, and chlorophyll. It has sulfur. It has isoflavone. It has sterol, which decreases size of the prostate. So if you have prostate problem, alfalfa will help you. And you don't see many male horses with prostate problems. It does. It has lots of fibers in it. It relieves digestive problems. It causes. It decreases the appetite. It's good for urinary tract infection. It's a diuretic. It's anti-diabetic. And it has all kinds of things in it. And the last thing in the lecture is to introduce you to the one you know, which is a vitalizer. And don't forget to take 1 or 2 a day. Depends on your problem. Well, thank you so much, and you have a good night. We're going to take some of this like papers. Not the energizing, not the cinch. You're going to have to know how to do it. And that's easy to do because if you mix it with water and then put some stevia with it or something, and I put some performance or physique with it to get the taste to change before, and I usually start with 16 ounce in the morning and drink it before I leave, and then have another 16 ounce in the car that I drink it before I get to work. And that means before I start the day, I got 32 ounces already, just so I don't get dehydrated and have protein.
I have that with cereals, I don't think.
Yeah, that's fine. But cereal, sugar, and that, be careful with that. Yes?
Are you saying then that for people using the cinch shake for weight loss, they shouldn't do because of the sugar, or what is your...
I would say for weight loss, soy complex, the instant soy protein, that 100% protein is the best.
What about the extra leucine that they're saying?
Soy protein has leucine and isoleucine in it too. I think the formula will change on the cinch in the future. Yes?
Is there any significant difference between omega-3s from fish oil and then from flax?
Absolutely. We have a whole lecture on that a year ago. So if you get the tape, I don't think they have the tape here, but if you get it, you can listen to it. But the difference in the flax is omega 6, and then you in the fish oil is omega 21. That's one for wild salmon. The farm resin one is omega 18, which is not that good. So they're all beneficial. Like olive oil has omega 18 too. They all beneficial. Like GLA is also beneficial. But omega 3, 21 carbon atoms from cold water processed salmon that's done scientifically, like Shaklee does theirs, is superior to the other ones that you see on sale for $2 from farm-raised fish. From farm-raised fish, what you get is regular fat, like cow fat, from it. So the fish itself doesn't have omega. It has regular fat from the corn they feed it. The other is algae. This is corn. You are what you eat. Okay, yes?
What if you have a friend who wants to juice and thinks that they're getting the nutrients they need from juicing fruits and vegetables and things?
Okay, the question about juicing. Well, juicing itself, it's a good process to juice vegetables only for about a week, or you do it one day a week or something like that. there is not much benefit from it, except there's a lots of alfalfa, lots of chlorophyll, and there's nothing else. There's some mineral. But those vegetables you're juicing have been grown in soil, is not organically fertilized. But organic food does not have to be organically fertilized. Organic food means it doesn't have what? Pesticide. That's all it means. So you get fooled by paying that price, high price for nothing. So you better just get the regular stuff that you get from regular store and wash it with basic edge, unless you are sure that the farm is really organically fertilized, or some of them are right now. But the pesticides on them, they don't absorb in the plant. The plant is not going to absorb pesticides. So it's on the surface. So you can wash it with basic edge and soak it for half an hour in the sink, and that will dissolve it. You follow me? It's a lot cheaper also. Other questions? Well, you got your my phone number right here, 847-571-3914. Oh, I think I have some cards. I remember to bring some, and I will put some right here for you. There's some in the front desk? Enough? Okay. There's some cards outside if you need some, and if you don't have any problems, then you have a good night. Anybody who have private questions, I'm going to stay 15 minutes for private questions right here.